But then, he took a step that many might find counterintuitive. He embraced this dramatic change. He used his newfound time to pursue a passion he had always placed on the back burner: painting. Fast forward to today, and he not only found solace in his art, but has turned it into a thriving new career path. This wouldn't have been possible if he hadn't embraced the winds of change, stepping into the unknown with courage. So, how can you start to embrace change? Begin by viewing each change as an experiment, a step towards discovering new aspects of yourself. Whether it's changing a habit, altering your routine, or even changing the way you think about change itself. Each step is a lesson, each pivot a chapter in your story of growth. Remember, every time you embrace change, you're not just adapting, you're setting the stage for transformation. Change breaks the old to make way for the new. And in that newness, you find new strengths, new passions, and new paths to happiness that you could never have anticipated. 2. Take control of your emotions. This isn't just about suppressing what you feel, far from it. It's about understanding your emotions, channeling them constructively, and maintaining equilibrium even in the face of life's upheavals. We've all been there, right? Those moments when our feelings seem to get the better of us, clouding our judgment, dictating our actions. But what if we could master these tempestuous seas, navigate through them with the composure of a Stoic philosopher? Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control what happens to us, we absolutely can control how we respond. Picture this. You're faced with a situation that typically sends your heart racing and your mind spiraling into a vortex of what-ifs and why-me's. Now, imagine observing your reaction as an outsider, acknowledging the surge of emotion, but choosing a different response. You take a breath, you pause. In that pause lies your power, the power to choose a response that aligns with your values, not just your instincts. This approach doesn't mean your emotions are invalid or that they should be ignored. Quite the contrary. It means you recognize and respect your feelings without letting them steer your life off course. It's about saying, yes, I feel this anger or anxiety, but I choose not to let it dominate my actions. It's about reclaiming control, one thought, one decision at a time. Think of the last time you faced a stressful situation. Maybe it was a disagreement with a friend, a setback at work, or a financial strain. Reflect on how you reacted. Did your emotions lead to actions you later regretted? Now, let's reimagine that scenario. This time you channel your inner Stoic. You allow yourself to feel the emotion, fully and without judgment. You observe it, understand its source, and then gently, firmly guide it to a place of reason and wisdom. This self-regulation is not about denial, it's about management and transformation. It's turning the heat of anger into the light of understanding. It's transforming the paralysis of fear into the clarity of caution. By mastering our emotions, we don't just endure life's challenges, we thrive amidst them. We turn our emotional energy into fuel for personal growth and achievement. And here's something else. Each time you successfully manage an emotional response, you build a little more resilience, a little more strength. Like a muscle that grows stronger with exercise, your emotional resilience expands with each challenge faced and overcome. You begin to trust in your ability to handle whatever comes your way, not because you are devoid of emotion, but because you are the master of it. So, next time you find yourself in the whirlwind of emotional turmoil, remember this. You have the tools to calm the storm. You can acknowledge your emotions as natural, but choose actions that are rational. Embrace the Stoic wisdom that has empowered countless souls through millennia, not as a suppression of emotion, but as a transformation of it. Harness it, mold it, and let it elevate you to heights you never thought possible. 3. Set boundaries to protect your time and energy. In a world that never sleeps, where the demands on our time and energy are incessant, learning to set boundaries is not just wise, it's essential. Stoicism teaches us the value of self-mastery and inner tranquility, but how often do we sacrifice these for the sake of others? The truth is, without setting firm boundaries, we risk not only our well-being, but also our ability to pursue what truly matters. Think of your energy as a sacred reserve, a finite source that fuels not only your daily activities, but also your deepest passions and pursuits. When this reserve is depleted by the countless demands of others, be they work commitments, social obligations, or even the subtle pressures of digital media, what's left for you? How can you pursue your personal goals or invest in self-care when your energy has been spent on everything but yourself? Setting boundaries is thus not about selfishness. It's about self-preservation. It's about discerning what truly deserves your time and energy and having the courage to say no to the rest. Stoic philosophy doesn't call us to turn away from the world, but to engage with it on our terms, to ensure that our interactions are intentional and our commitments meaningful. Let me tell you a story about a close friend of mine, someone who always went the extra mile for everyone. She was the first to arrive and the last to leave, the person who volunteered for every project, who never said no. Initially, it seemed like her boundless energy knew no limits, until it did. One day she confided in me that she felt exhausted, not just physically but emotionally. She was giving so much to others that she had forgotten to give to herself. After much reflection, inspired partly by the Stoic practice of self-reflection, she began to set boundaries. She started small, by limiting the number of projects she would take on, and by carving out time for her hobbies. The change wasn't instant, but over time she found herself feeling less drained and more fulfilled. She was still generous with her time, but now it was on her terms, ensuring she had enough left for the things that truly enriched her life. How, then, can we start setting these vital boundaries? It begins with self-awareness. Take a moment to reflect on what parts of your life feel overwhelming or draining. Is it a particular commitment that brings more stress than satisfaction? Or perhaps it's a relationship that demands more than it gives back? Recognizing these drains on your is the first step towards setting boundaries. Next, communicate these boundaries clearly and firmly. This doesn't mean being confrontational. Rather, it's about being honest with others about what you can and cannot do, what you are willing to accept, and what you are not. It's about teaching others how to treat you by showing them what you value. And finally, enforce these boundaries. It's one thing to set them, it's another to maintain them. This might mean turning down invitations, stepping back from obligations that no longer serve you, or simply learning to prioritize your own needs alongside those of others. This enforcement isn't a one-time act, but a continuous process that requires dedication and commitment. 4. Take responsibility for your actions. In the tapestry of life, every thread you weave plays a part in the larger picture of your story. Each decision, every action, holds the weight of potential outcomes, and understanding this is pivotal. In the world of Stoicism, there is a profound emphasis on the concept of taking responsibility, not just in our actions, but also in our reactions. The Stoic philosophers taught that while we cannot always control what happens to us, we have absolute power over how we respond. This doctrine isn't just about accountability, it's about empowerment. Let's delve into a narrative that perhaps we've all lived in one way or another. Picture yourself working on a project that's close to your heart. You've poured in hours, days, maybe even months of effort. But despite your dedication, things go awry. It's a familiar scenario, isn't it? Maybe the results fell short of expectations, or an unforeseen issue threw everything off course. It's in moments like these that your character is tested. Do you look outward, casting blame on circumstances or others? Or do you look inward, assessing what part you played in the outcome? I remember a time when I faced a similar situation. It was a project I believed in deeply, and initially, when it didn't pan out, my first instinct was to blame external factors. The timing was off, the resources were insufficient, the support wasn't adequate. But upon reflection, a fundamental Stoic practice, I realized that these were elements I could have anticipated, perhaps even mitigated. Acknowledging that I had missed these signs was tough. It's not easy to admit our oversights. However, this admission was a turning point. It shifted my perspective from one of blame to one of learning. I asked myself, what can this teach me? Instead of, why did this happen to me? This shift is crucial. It transforms moments of failure into opportunities for growth. When you take responsibility for your actions, you move from a passive state, where life happens to you, to an active state, where you happen to life. You start to see every challenge as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. This doesn't mean you won't encounter frustrations or disappointments, but instead of allowing them to defeat you, you use them as fuel to forge ahead, to refine your strategies, and to strengthen your resolve. Taking responsibility might sound daunting, but it begins with simple, everyday decisions. Start by owning your choices, both big and small. Did a conversation not go as planned? Reflect on your words and consider how different approaches might yield different results. Was a goal not achieved? Evaluate your methods and determine what adjustments are necessary to succeed next time. Each act of responsibility reinforces your agency and your capacity to influence your destiny. And remember, taking responsibility is not about shouldering a burden of guilt. It's about embracing a position of control. It's about saying, here is where I can do better, not, here is where I failed. The Stoics believed in focusing on efforts, not outcomes, and in finding value in every experience, positive or negative. 5. Practice self-compassion. In the relentless pursuit of our goals, we often become our own harshest critics. It's easy to spiral into self-doubt and criticism when things don't go according to plan. But what if I told you that the secret to sustained success and inner peace lies not in the constant self-critique, but in practicing self-compassion? This isn't just about being kind to yourself. It's about acknowledging your struggles, accepting your imperfections, and still choosing to nurture your spirit, much like the Stoics who emphasized understanding and managing our own perceptions and reactions. Consider the times you've faced setbacks or failures. Think about how you responded. Did you berate yourself? Or did you take a moment to offer yourself understanding and grace? The journey to achieving anything significant is often riddled with obstacles and setbacks. It's how you speak to yourself in these moments that can either forge a path forward or create a barrier that is hard to break. I remember once, after a particularly challenging project, I found myself caught in a storm of self-criticism. I had worked tirelessly, yet the outcome was far from what I had hoped for. Initially, my inner dialogue was harsh, filled with messages of failure and self-doubt. But then, I paused. I realized that if a friend had come to me with the same story, I would have offered words of encouragement and support, not criticism. Why then was I not offering the same to myself? Self-compassion is this shift in dialogue. It's treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend. The Stoics teach us not to be disturbed by the events, but by our perception of these events. By practicing self-compassion, You alter your perception of your experiences from negative to nurturing. This doesn't mean shying away from responsibility or ignoring your mistakes. Instead, it means accepting your imperfections, learning from them, and moving forward without the heavy baggage of self-judgment. Practicing self-compassion starts with recognizing your humanity. Understand that to err is human, to struggle is part of growth. When you make a mistake, instead of diving into a sea of self-criticism, ask yourself, what can this teach me? Use setbacks as learning points, not as anchors that pull you down. Another step is to be mindful of your inner critic. Listen to the voices in your head and challenge them. Are they fair? Are they helpful? Would you say them to someone else? If not, it's time to reframe them. Replace critical thoughts with supportive, compassionate ones. This shift not only changes how you view yourself, but also how you interact with the world. Moreover, make self-compassion a regular practice. Just like physical exercise strengthens the body, regular moments of self-compassion strengthen your mental and emotional resilience. Set aside time to reflect on your day. Focus on what you did well and where you could improve, always through a lens of compassion. Embracing self-compassion means breaking free from the confines of self-doubt and embracing a more forgiving, understanding approach to personal challenges. It allows you to celebrate the small victories while constructively learning from the losses. With self-compassion, you are not just surviving, you are thriving, learning to sail smoothly on the rough seas of life. 6. Never stop learning and evolving. In a world that constantly changes, the ability to keep learning and evolving is not just a skill, it's a necessity. Imagine navigating life's vast ocean with the relentless spirit of a voyager who knows that behind every horizon lies new knowledge and endless possibilities. This is the essence of mental strength, a perpetual thirst for growth, a deep-seated resolve to never stand still. It's about embracing the Stoic belief that life is a teacher and every experience a lesson. Remember, the path to self-improvement isn't paved with dramatic breakthroughs, but with continuous, small steps of progress. Each step is a piece in the puzzle of who you are and who you might become. Think about the last time you learned something new, how it felt, the excitement and sometimes the frustration. Did it change the way you think? Did it inspire you to explore further? This is the power of learning. It transforms your mind, expands your horizons, and reshapes your world. Let me share a personal story that illustrates this transformative power of continuous learning. A few years ago, I decided to delve into the art of photography. At first, it was merely a hobby, a way to capture moments of beauty. But as I learned more about the techniques, the history, and the stories behind each image, photography became more than just a pastime. It became a new lens through which I viewed the world. It taught me about light and shadow, about perspective, and most importantly, about the details that we often overlook. Each photograph became a lesson in patience and observation, and each lesson enhanced not just my skills with the camera but my skills in life. To never stop learning is to maintain a state of readiness, to be adaptable in the face of change, and to always be prepared to seize new opportunities. It's about being curious and allowing that curiosity to propel you forward. Ask questions, seek answers, and challenge yourself to step outside your comfort zone. Whether it's picking up a new book, starting a new course, or simply exploring a new hobby, every new venture is a step towards becoming a more rounded, enlightened individual. Embracing continuous learning also means acknowledging that we never fully arrive. There is always something more to know, some new skill to acquire. This might seem daunting, but within this realization lies true freedom. the freedom to reinvent oneself, to innovate, and to pivot without fear of the unknown. Stoicism teaches us not to fear failure, but to use it as a catalyst for growth. So when faced with challenges, don't shy away. Dive deeper, learn from them, and emerge stronger. Moreover, make this journey of learning a shared one. Engage with others who are on their own paths of discovery. Exchange ideas, debate theories, and collaborate on projects. These interactions not only enrich your learning experience, but also build a community of like-minded individuals who support and inspire each other. Remember that the goal is not just to accumulate information, but to understand deeply, to apply wisely, and to live fully. So, I urge you, keep pushing the boundaries of what you know. Keep challenging the limits of what you can do. After all, in the words of the great philosopher Seneca, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. As we close today's journey into the resilient world of mental strength, remember, your path to growth never truly ends. Each day is a fresh page in your Stoic journal, an opportunity to write a stronger, wiser, more enlightened chapter of your life. Thank you for sharing this time with me, for being a vital part of our community. If you're hungry for more insights, make sure to watch the suggested videos on your screen. Together, let's continue to explore, learn, and grow. Until next time, keep turning the pages of your life with courage and purpose.